go. There we go. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel. We'll finish that one later. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night. All right, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night, on this beautiful December 20th, 2016, 19, what year is it? 2019. Yeah, that's it. And 5 days till Christmas. Christmas on Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Christmas is this Wednesday. Maybe I'll have a Christmas show. I don't know if I'll have a Christmas morning or maybe Monday or Tuesday. Who knows? Maybe I'll do the Christmas show on Christmas Eve. I've already got the halls all decked out, as you can see here. It's looking pretty nice around here. And I even got I got the manger scene back over there, and I got the Santa in the sleigh, and of course my minions up there. And I'm looking forward to a little Christmas. It is Friday. It is Funk Day. Now, just programming note, I've always been talking about having Dog Bark Fridays and having guests. I'm just going to start scheduling guests for the new year. And so we'll get that going. A little Christmas funk, huh? A little Christmas funk. We can do something like that. Hang on a second here. It'll be somewhat funky. I will just do this. Let's see. We got this, and we got no vocals. Let's just try. Okay, now, if you have headphones on, you might want to take them off for the next 5 seconds, because what happens every time I do this... Okay, I got it before it went too loud. Let's see if I can hear it. Okay, we got a little music going there. You can't hear it yet, but let's try it now. There we go. A little background music for this beautiful the weekend before Christmas, and all through the stream. P-Dog was a little salty, and he's about to get mean because there are Democrats trying to impeach the president. And honestly, my mind is just spent. You see, as I was looking for stories to do, it dawned on me that the Democrats might be bullshitting you. Because there's some things that they don't want you to see. But someone's got to tell you, and that's going to be me. So, as the stocking is hung, instead of a tip jar, hit that Streamlabs link, because I need a new car. Alright, so we're here, we're queer, get used to it. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the news that you may not have heard because of impeachment. Oh, the impeachment that's not an impeachment yet. As you know, Her Majesty Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi, has decided she's going to hold up the impeachment thing a little bit because she doesn't think the House rules are going to be fair. And I'm just curious. What is fair? Is life fair? Was everything fair the way they did this impeachment? All these impeachment inquiries. Was that fair? You know, the House of Representatives is the body that actually decides if there's going to be an impeachment inquiry. And they make up the rules for their impeachment stuff, and then they vote, and then they send it to the Senate. Now the Senate is the body that does the rules for for what comes next. And so the Senate rules certainly are made up by the Senate, and they can, just like the House kind of made up some of the rules as they went along and made some changes to how things work. Well, the Senate is actually kind of doing what they're supposed to do. My friend JJ Sefton writes this. So Trump is an existential threat, and he must be removed from office. So much so that the Democrats have recessed for the Christmas holiday, and Polygrip Pelosi has made it official that she will not send the articles of impeachment to the Senate for a trial until she is 100% certain she has rigged enough rhinos and other GOP dupes to convict Trump, and thereby have him removed. Suggestion for Cocaine Mitch: pull an Obamacare. Deem the articles as transmitted, convene the Senate long enough to throw the case out for lack of evidence, and then go home for Christmas. That would be fucking hilarious, but I don't think he's going to do that. Here's the thing. Pelosi's just wasting time. And let's see. Oh, here it is. Here's the article from Pajamas Media. It's official. House Dems close up shop without sending articles of impeachment to the Senate. So, you know what that means? The president's not impeached yet. Because via Senate rules, the president isn't impeached until those articles are sent to the Senate. So technically, he's not impeached. So we went from impeached to not impeached in 24 hours. But, the people on Twitter are still all excited, whatnot. On Thursday, the House of Representatives adjourned before voting to send the articles of impeachment to the U.S. Senate for a trial. This made House Speaker Nancy Pelosi stall-tastic official. The Democrats are refusing to forward the impeachment to the Senate until they receive assurances that the trial will be fair in their eyes. Wow. After the rules they changed and the rules they didn't follow in their own house, they have a lot of nerve to tell the Senate what to do. But yet this arguably violates the Constitution. Hoyer announces no more votes until January 7th. Big chair goes up in the House chamber. This means the House won't approve the resolution on impeachment managers and to send impeachment package to the Senate until at least January 2020. Fox News reporter Chad Perker tweeted, Hoyer announced no more votes until January 7th. Big cheers go. Okay, that's what he tweeted. This made it official that the Democrats would stall the articles until after Christmas. Pelosi has suggested Democrats might delay sending impeachment on to the Senate for a trial because they did not trust the Senate to hold a fair trial. Well, guess what? Here's the deal. You don't send it to them, there won't be a trial, and there's no impeachment. I think they should just call it a mistrial right now. Let's just call it a mistrial and throw the whole damn thing out. Stop playing games. This is how it works. You can't change the rules in the middle of the game. In reality, this seems like a gamut to deny President Donald Trump the vindication of being acquitted by the Senate. Yet former Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz argued that this move is unconstitutional. It is difficult to imagine anything more unconstitutional, more violative of the intention of the framers, more of a denial of basic due process and civil liberties, more unfair to the president, more likely to increase the current divisiveness among the American people, he wrote. Denying President Trump and the American people a trial in the Senate would constitute a variation on the title of my new book, Guilt by Association. I'm just laughing because Alan Dershowitz is pumping his new book in his interview here. President Trump would stand accused of 2 articles of impeachment without having an opportunity to be acquitted by the institution selected by the framers to try all cases of impeachment. It would be as if a prosecutor deliberately decided to indict a criminal defendant but not put him on trial, Dershowitz argued. The Constitution explicitly states that the Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments, but no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. The House of Representatives has already voted to impeach Donald Trump. This is a ripe impeachment. According to the terms of the Constitution, the Senate has the power to try all impeachments. It seems Democrats should forward the impeachment to the Senate if they want it to be taken seriously. Well, they already know it's not being taken seriously, so I get that part a little bit. This is all unprecedented. Every single step of this sham. There is no compass here when the Dems have charted so far, of course, of the clear map of the Constitution. Constitutional lawyer and Trump campaign senior counsel Jenna Ellis told PJ Media. In blistering remarks on Thursday morning, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Cocaine Mitch, noted that the founders intended impeachment to be a criminal process, and they worked hard to prevent it from being a purely partisan endeavor. McConnell argued that Democrats have effectively impeached Trump over a policy dispute and a claim of maladministration, something the founders rejected and feared. That's my best Mitch McConnell imitation. There were important reasons why every previous House of Representative in American history restrained itself from crossing this Rubicon, he said. In impeaching Trump, Democrats opened the Pandora's box of subjective political impeachments. That 230-year tradition died last night. Trump mocked the idea that Pelosi would not forward the articles to the Senate. Pelosi feels her phony impeachment hoax was so pathetic that she's afraid to present it to the Senate, which can set a date and put this whole scam into default if they refuse to show up, he tweeted. Well, I don't know how that works. Like I said, call it a mistrial, you know? Oh my God. Anyway, so that's my little just moment of impeachment news for the day. Let's get a good morning to everybody, and then I'm going to tell you what they're distracting you from, because there was something that happened over the last couple days that you probably didn't even hear about, and so we're going to talk about that today thanks to my friend Tracy Beans. But let's say good morning to everyone in the chat. Good morning, Duck Dog, who gets the bell. You were here first, my friend. Thank you for being here. Good morning, Tyler F. and Grillin' Pirate Pete and Rolling Bear. Good morning, Green Thunder to Mighty, Longfish 61, Maniac Man, and Irish Rose. That's everyone who's showed up in the chat. There's a few of you out there lurking. Good morning to everybody here at the Morning Night Live. I am so happy you're here. Boy, and y'all even everyone hit a like button already too. That's pretty cool. While I'm mentioning that, hit the like button if you like what we do. I'll remind you at the end of the stream. Also, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. Hit that bell. Also, what was the thing? Oh, share. Please share the stream. I did tweet this out. If you're not following me on Twitter, I'm down here, right down there at PDogNight. My Twitter, Streamlabs, and Venmo are all at PDogNight. And you can also do donations or super chats through the Streamlabs link or via Venmo. So that's how we do things here. And thank you, Rolling Bear. Thank you, Grillin' Pirate Pete, and thank you, Tyler F, for retweeting the stream out. I greatly appreciate. That's the biggest thing. We're going to try to hit them 500 subscribers by the end of this year. So I got to barely just less than 2 weeks left. So we'll figure that out. I'm going to have some shows with guests, with some people who can help me out with a little bit of that too over the next week. Speaking of next week, the schedule next week for Christmas week is basically what it is all the time. We're doing our shows Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m., 3 p.m. GMT, even Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and the day after Christmas and the day after that. So if you got nothing to do early in the morning, you can join us at the Morning Night Live, because we'll be here. We'll be doing you know what I'm thinking of doing? What would be fun for Christmas is to have people come in and we could do a sing-along. I got to figure out how to do that. There's got to be a way. Anyway, all right. Now, while you were all being distracted by impeachment, I honestly, it's a lot of people who are on the right side of history, the right side of the political spectrum, I should say, have been saying that it's weird how they've been rushing this impeachment. They had to get this impeachment out there. They really, this is weird how they seem to need to rush. They couldn't wait for the president to, take his, the battles to court, for example. In fact, the Supreme Court right now is even talking about whether or not they're discussing whether or not the president and his, officers under him in the executive branch, whether they do, if they are required to show up for congressional subpoenas or congressional testimony. What privileges does the executive branch, being a co-equal branch of government, have in relation to testifying before Congress? Are there executive privileges? Certainly, Donald Trump is not the first president in history who has, asserted executive privilege when people who are under him try to testify. In fact, it's, this obstruction of Congress one. This one cracks me up because y'all realize that Eric Holder refused to testify before congressional committees, right? And in fact, he, as the Attorney General of the United States, was held in contempt of Congress, and basically he didn't give a fuck. Okay, but so the idea that the president and the executive branch has a tradition of cooperating with the oversight of Congress, bullshit. Eric Holder is go for Apple. Good morning, Scribe. How you doing? Oh, now you're over here. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Usually you're over. You're hanging out. I think Monkey Stream right now. But I am so honored, sir. Good morning, Scribe Light. Welcome to the show. So the idea that that and if you think back to the Clinton impeachment days, all sorts of his executive branch refused to testify. So it's not like this obstruction of Congress, not coming and getting oversight is anything new. Presidents have been doing that for a long time, and so it's kind of a funny charge. But anyway, let's get back to what we've been distracted from, because I'm even distracted by this. So here's what you've been distracted from. Now, there's a great thread, and this is what we're going to go through today. So if you didn't know, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, has been testifying in the Senate. And now, originally, he testified in front of the Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham's committee, and it was kind of, it was a dog and pony show. A lot of people out there getting sound bites and stuff like that. Well, yesterday, Michael Horowitz testified in front of the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. Now, let me go. Here's what I'm talking about, the distraction, too. The timing of this impeachment. It's interesting that the timing of this impeachment was they literally scheduled the part of these impeachment proceedings when they knew that the Senate was going to be going through this Inspector General report on the FBI and the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation and the FISA warrant investigation. Okay, they timed it specifically for that. In fact, the report they knew was scheduled to come out on that Monday, and that the Senate was going to start their hearings on Wednesday. So they jumped in there and got their impeachment vote, right away. Wouldn't let the Republicans have their minority hearing that they're entitled to on all other along The three branches asserting their independence authority is part and parcel with the checks and balances system. The structure of Congress is the lowest of low bars they could have created. Oh, I know. And in fact, the third branch, the judicial branch, is normally the judge when the other two branches have a little disagreement, right? The music's a tad too loud. Okay, we'll turn the music down. I can never tell. I can't tell from mine. As soon as I get my new system, my new setup, I will be able to tell. It's really hard for me to do that. All right, we'll do this. We'll turn it down there. We'll just do that. All right. Anyway, so it's even distracting me. I'll turn my headphones down. All right, back into what we've been distracted from, though. So Michael Horowitz is in front of these other committees, the Homeland Security Committee and the Homeland Security and Government Affairs. Now, you wouldn't have heard about this at all because the entire day was dominated by one word, impeachment. But we are going to take a look at this. Now, this is a great thread by Tracy Beans. If you're not following Tracy Beans on YouTube or Twitter, it's something you should check out. But here's a great thread. So yesterday there was a hearing with Michael Horowitz before the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee that went largely ignored. I have clipped it and will analyze both here in this thread and in video later on. But let's go well, that's her speaking. So let's go through her thread here because there's great information. There's great she has some great clips here, and we're just going to go through it. So you're going to note, she says, you will, and again, these words are hers. They are not mine, but I think it's worth a listen. So here we go. You will note significant differences between this hearing and the one chaired by Lindsey Graham in the Judiciary Committee last week. All committees should run like this one. When a clip warrants further commentary, I will add my comments in the tweet following the video. So she's just telling you that. So here's the opening with Senator Johnson clarifies with Horowitz how they came to a decision about bias in the opening of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Now, if you've been paying attention to the Inspector General report, especially the media and James Comey and Andrew McCabe and all these people thought they were vindicated. They were vindicated that there was no political bias because the Inspector General report at some point said that he did not have evidence of political bias. But they kind of jumped the gun on that, okay? So here's the opening with Senator Johnson.
I'm going to quote, we did not
find. All right, I'm going to turn these up. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually turn the music off and make it so that you can hear this. It's a little more important today for you to hear this. I normally like to have the music on, but today I'm going to turn it off. Hang on a second here. I'm going to reset my settings here. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this. And let's try this and put it back on the screen. There we go. All right, so here's the opening
statement. I'm going to quote, we did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that political bias or improper motivation influenced the decisions, fill in the blank. And you've used it in a number of cases. Now, I know we talked earlier about you're pretty confident there was no political bias in the opening of the investigation with Bill Priestap.
Yeah, we did not find evidence, and as to him, we knew who made the decision. We could focus specifically on him.
Okay, so she says, it's important to note that Horowitz came to this conclusion based off of lack of documentary or testimonial evidence regarding Bill Priestap being biased, since he was the decision maker who opened the investigation. They cover this in detail during the hearing. It's important to note the very careful nuance here. The media and Democrats are using the fact that most Americans won't understand these points to their advantage in promulgating the narrative that all was on the up and up. Please listen carefully to this.
Definitely, in both these investigations, you found political bias.
We found, through the text messages, evidence of people's political bias, correct.
Also, political motivation. For example, Bruce Ord talked about how Christopher Steele was desperate to make sure that President Trump didn't become president?
Well, yeah, as to Mr. Steele, that was, of course, a very important part of this discussion, is when they understood his motivations and his potential bias. And we have the November statement from Mr. Orr that he had been told by Mr. Steele that he was desperate to prevent.
So again, so you're not denying there's certainly evidence of bias, there's certainly evidence of political motivation. But what you're saying, this is what I want to clarify, because I think this has been
Hey, this is a really important point, so listen to this very carefully.
misconstrued and misused, depending on where you put it, that you're not saying that that bias did not potentially influence that. You're just saying you had no evidence that it did. I mean, is that an accurate statement?
We have no evidence that it did. We laid out here what we did to find bias or evidence of bias. We put this report out here so the public can read it, look at the facts for themselves, but we did not find exactly what we said, documentary or testimony evidence of bias.
But
nothing
again,
more, nothing less.
But you're not saying you did not, that it did not. I mean, you didn't find evidence that it did, but you also didn't find evidence that it did. You're not saying that this bias or motivation did not influence. You're not making that declarative conclusion, correct?
Again, I want to carve out the opening and the predication.
Pre-Stapp versus the others.
Because because that decision was was made by one person. We knew who made the decision, understanding that there were questions raised about people above and below him. As to the other decisions, for example, the FISA decisions and the errors and the problems, we don't reach a motivation conclusion precisely because of the concerns we have on that. So
not reaching a motivation conclusion means that he's not saying that there was no bias. What he's saying is they don't know if it was bias, and later he says they can't decide if it's because of bias or because of incompetence or for any other reason why these major mistakes that happen in this, in this, especially the FISA court renewals and applications, why those happen. He's not making any determination on that. Here's more detail from Horowitz, how the IG makes a decision about bias. It's important to note how specific the criteria are and how hard it is to prove by their standards. Now reconcile that they were able to find it and have referred it to the Department of Justice. Stunning in honesty. Here we go.
Just one final follow-up. What kind of evidence would you require? I mean, literally an oral confession or a text saying, I so hate this guy that I'm going to choose this path versus the other. So
it was very hard to look at all this evidence and obviously, as we all know, get in people's minds. What was the motivation for decisions to be made? What we looked at was who touched the decision. Did we find evidence through text messages, emails, witness interviews? We sometimes do get, not in this case, but we do sometimes get whistleblowers and other people coming to us and saying, I think so-and-so made a decision for an improper purpose. And we as IGs look at that. We were looking for that kind of evidence. As you noted, as to some people, we had concerns about that. Our last report lays out not just as to, for example, Mr. Strzok or Ms. Page, but as to others, concerns about certain text messages. What we were trying to figure out is what was the evidence, who was involved in decisions, and was there evidence linking those biased texts or other evidence connected to decisions?
Okay, so because of the powers of the Inspector General, or lack of powers, I should say, unless they have something specifically where someone says this was bias, he's not going to report that. He's a neutral. The Inspector General is just a neutral party. That's a fact-finding party. It's not. He's not going to make determinations on those, on that particular issue. That's for a different, a different prosecutor or whatever. It's not the Inspector General's role. Now we get, by the way, I see the breaking news here. Grill and Pirate Pete put in the chat. Fox News says British lawmakers vote overwhelmingly to approve Johnson's Brexit plan. UK to leave the EU by January 31st. Wow. That's pretty amazing that, how many times did Theresa May try to get her plan voted on? Apparently, I don't know. I'm not really familiar. Let me just click back for a second. I'm not really familiar with how soon, when they had their elections, how soon Parliament turns over. But so it amazes me that already that they've got a Brexit vote results here. Let's see. Here you go. Here's from the BBC. I'll just here we'll put it up. This is breaking. Results: UK votes to leave the EU. When is this from? We already knew this. This was a long time ago. This is not the one I'm looking for. I clicked the wrong article, folks. Sorry about that. Here, let's see if I can find the breaking news on. Let's see. Unfortunately, it's not trending yet, but I'm sure it will be soon. It's not trending yet. Let's just check home on Twitter here. Lots of stuff about the dev today. Here we go. Nope, that's not it. Right now Twitter's still full of impeachment, and also just see all the other people. And this thing on J.K. Rowling yesterday too. Anyway, we're gonna let's see. Let's try this. We'll look up Johnson Brexit. Johnson Brexit. Let's try that. Well, you said the Brexit plan has been passed. But the Guardian had Brexit. Johnson says Britain will leave EU on. Oh God, these click. Oh my God, what the hell? Here we go. The Guardian's worse than. There's more pop-up shit than anything on here. All right. Let's put it on the screen. Johnson says Britain will leave the EU on 31st October. Do or die. That's an old article too. Where's the new article? No one's talking about this. I guess we'll have to wait till it hits Twitter. Thank you, Fox News article. All right. My God. Here we go. British lawmakers approve Boris Johnson's Brexit, 3 years of political gridlock, and lead Britain out of the European Union in January 30th. So, real quick, still has to go through the House of Lords, but the Parliament were also pro-Trump text messages by the FBI. So we had all the stuff. I'm buffering. Buffering? What the hell? Yes, I am. You might have to hit refresh. All right, back to this, and let's go. God, I'm having troubles today. So this is the funny thing. Now we get Democrats trying to make the case that there were also pro-Trump text messages by the FBI. So see, it happened on both sides. They cancel each other out. This isn't just us. Horowitz makes a distinction and says they found political views disassociated from action. That is much different than finding a willingness to act on those views and take steps to do things because of the views you held. Horowitz doesn't determine someone is biased because they support one candidate or the other, but the actions would be important. And here's that.
By a state of mind, these are the struck page texts, even more seriously imply a willingness to take official action to impact Trump's electoral prospects. So that's a statement you also make. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would you yield to me for just a moment?
Sure.
Yep.
Stop the clock.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that there are FBI agents who were pro-Trump and anti-Trump, including some fairly senior people that were pro-Trump and made it very clear that they were?
There were pro-Trump FBI agents too.
Both reports, evidence of political views disassociated from action. And I think that's very important, and I tried to emphasize this last year as well as last week. We're not concluding that someone's biased simply because they supported one candidate or another. Frankly, they shouldn't be using their devices for any purposes that are political. It raises Hatch Act potentially and other issues that are not biased, but other legal issues. But what we're looking at are, were the comments so significant that it concerned us that they might have caused them to influence decisions they made. And that's where we, particularly in last year's report, where we had far more evidence of text messaging. We had some people who had expressed political views but didn't act on them. Again, here we have some members that we have in here that reference their political views, but no information, and they're not the kind of written texts.
All right. Are we still having problems there, guys? I know that I'm on my cord here. I'm wired today. I'm not going Wi-Fi, so it should be working okay. Hang on, let me just take a quick look here. Looks like it's working over here again. I don't know. I guess it's okay. All right. So anyway, the Democrats are trying to say, well, you know, there were certainly some pro-Trump FBI agents involved in this. You know, is their bias part of this too? But, you know, it was... Okay, looks like it's cleared up. All right, good. And 12 and 12. All right. All right, let's get back in here. And then here, Senator Johnson asked Horowitz why the FBI didn't decide just to move on from investigating Page. Because, you know, once they had the information that, you know, that Carter Page probably wasn't an issue, you know, they knew that he was a contact for the CIA. Why did they not just drop it? Horowitz states that even team members were wondering why they would continue on Page if they weren't getting anything. He uses his prior experience to concur it was wrong.
Including, primarily, as I'm sure we'll talk about, the information from the primary subsource that was inconsistent with the Steele reporting. We even have in here in the report a reference on page 212 where we've got agents talking with one another about why is Page even a subject anymore. To your question of why are they still looking at him, they were actually asking that question not just as to the FISA, but the foundational question of Carter Page, we're not finding anything as to him. Why aren't we reassessing?
So again, Mike, would have been within their guidelines. Would have that been if they'd done that and you were doing investigation, you go, that was a reasonable discretionary decision to close this thing down.
As certainly as someone who's done these cases in AUSA and working with agents, if you're getting information that isn't advancing and in fact potentially undercutting or significantly undercutting your primary theme or theory, as was happening here with the Carter Page file, so you'd look at the Carter Page file and say, should I keep going on this Carter Page?
Yeah, why are they still investigating Carter Page? There's agents going, why are we still investigating this guy? Why are we still doing this? Well, apparently somebody involved with this needed Carter Page to still be an investigation so they could continue to do the surveillance. And so they kept renewing the application, and they kept renewing the FISA, and they kept renewing the FISA, even though they knew somebody had to have known. Anyway, this next clip, she says, is super interesting. Horowitz is asked if he finds anything in FBI records to indicate that Misfood, you know, remember Joseph Misfood? That Misfood is a Russian agent. This is the only question he skirts around in this matter. Not sure what conclusion to draw from this, other than that there is more here. Listen to his answer to this. This is interesting because, you know, because there's some people would say that Joseph Misfood is a CIA asset, and there are people out there still saying that Misfood was a Russian agent, but there's evidence that he's not. And in fact, he might be one of our contacts. So listen to the answer to this.
According to James Comey's May 28th,
Whoops, hang on.
According to James Comey's May 28, 2019 op-ed in the Washington Post, Joseph Mifsud, unnamed at the time, was a, quote, Russian agent. Again, did you find anything in the FBI documents that would support James Comey's conclusion about that?
I want to be careful on that because I think if I answer either way, I might be touching on information I'm not sure I can speak to.
In other words, we know he's not a Russian agent. We already know there's evidence that he's not a Russian agent.
In this setting?
Okay.
But let me be clear, we certainly would have looked to see what the FBI.
We'll follow up in a different setting.
Yeah, so anyway, the next clip's about McCabe. There were concerns about Peter Strzok having a supervisory role in the investigation because he failed to follow direction in the chain of command and others. Priestap, who started the investigation, didn't want him to lead. McCabe went around that and made sure that he did. So McCabe, remember some of those little text messages between Peter Strzok and Lisa Page, and they were talking about, we had that meeting in Andy's office and whatnot. Andrew McCabe is the guy who made sure that Peter Strzok was involved. Remember they're talking about they went back and had 3 different hand-picked teams that went and renewed the FISA warrants, and they should have known all these mistakes. Well, Andrew McCabe hand-picked Peter Strzok.
Bosses, Bill Priestap or Assistant Director Steinbeck wanted him to run the investigation, mainly because of the relationship with Lisa Page, as well as kind of a tendency to go around, particularly Steinbeck, go right to McCabe. But Andrew McCabe overruled that decision. Did you ever find out why?
So we talk about that in the report, page 64 and 65, about that very issue. And Mr. Priestap recalls it as you described. Mr. McCabe, we have his explanation in there. Didn't precisely recall certain of the events, recalled some other events, and again, we lay it out there what he was involved in terms of selecting as Mr. Priestap described it, having Mr. Strzok stay on the investigation.
On August 25th, Deputy Director McCabe directed Crossfire Hurricane to contact the New York field office for helpful information. It turned out that helpful information was the Steele reporting. Now, this is 25 days before the FBI actually...
Listen, because this is in the report that Johnson's talking about. Listen to this too, because this is also important. Before they ever had information from this Steele dossier, at least the FBI, Andrew McCabe gave a tip to the Crossfire Hurricane team to contact the field office in August, 25 days before they actually received the Steele reporting. What they got from the New York office was the Steele reporting. No one could explain how he was so far ahead. How did Andrew McCabe know to direct them to the New York field office where this Steele dossier was? And here's how Horowitz or Johnson and Horowitz.
It turned out that helpful information was the Steele reporting. Now, this is 25 days before the FBI actually received the first 6 Steele reports. Did you ever get to the bottom of how Andrew McCabe was so far ahead of the rest of the FBI in that?
Again, we asked witnesses about that, including Mr. McCabe, and we had ultimately we weren't able to get to the bottom of exactly what caused that delay or what prompted that call.
In other words, no satisfactory answer.
Now, McCabe told people he didn't remember doing this. But in fact,
I don't remember. Oh, that's so sad that you don't remember, Andrew.
McCabe told your team he did not remember details about 26 significant events in your report. Did you find his memory lapses credible?
It's not the job of the... That's the thing. It's still not the job of the Inspector General to determine whether or not they're credible or not. They just report the facts, ma'am.
He seemed to be pretty involved in this investigation. I mean, overruling to make sure Peter Strzok would be named the director, contacting the New York field office. He seemed to be pretty involved, and yet on some pretty significant issues in your report, he just doesn't recall. Do you find that those memory lapses credible?
We did find he was briefed on the investigation, and as you noted, there were several points at the beginning where he was involved. We don't make a determination or credibility finding on that issue.
Okay.
Okay, so Horowitz wasn't able to come to a conclusion on how he knew about this, and this is why the media and Democrats, I know it's redundant, why the legacy media and propaganda outlets peddling that IG is the bearer of finality in this investigation is so backwards. Who does have the ability to figure this out? That would be John Durham and William Barr. Now, here's the Democrats playing on one of their crafty asked a question to get a response we can spin in the hearing, and it doesn't work. The IG is asked whether the Page problems influence the other investigations. IG answers no, and then the Democrat reinforces as if to show that it was isolated. In actuality, Horowitz clarifies that this was a problem because the investigation into Page wasn't advancing, and Page and Papadopoulos were tied together. So that was a problem. Here it is.
Correct. Your report also states that the FBI received information from a friendly foreign government that Russia offered to assist the Trump campaign. Is that correct?
Correct. We lay out the precise words that Mr. Papadopoulos reportedly stated to the friendly foreign government.
Great. Now, your report does outline a number of problems with the FISA process, as you've elaborated on. My question, particularly when it relates to questions from the chairman regarding Carter Page, my question is, did the FISA errors affect the investigation's other three subjects in your analysis?
We did not see information from the Carter Page events and the FISAs infecting the others. In fact, part of the concerns that we outline here is the lack of developing of information as to Mr. Page. So it wasn't advancing the investigation precisely for the reasons we outline here, and by definition, therefore, not being of assistance or impacting the others.
So it had no impact on the other investigations?
As to the other three, we didn't see any connection between this and the others, I'll say this caveat, which is the Papadopoulos information was being used in the Page FISAs. And so the extent to which the Page FISAs were not advancing information as to Mr. Page, they arguably weren't advancing information as to Mr. Papadopoulos, because that was the linchpin fact, initially at least, to go for opening all of the cases.
So, and then the same senator tries to attempt to hammer home the falsity about the Page FISA errors, that there was no bias. Sadly, this isn't correct, even if the senator leads the IG to say it was. The IG says it's a hard sell that it was just gross incompetence. And what's interesting about this, aside from the obvious substance, is the difference in the demeanor of these folks as compared to the Judiciary Committee. Anyway, that's her note there. Anyway, here's him trying to get him to say, "Oh, this was just errors," and the IG isn't kind of giving him that point.
So, if I recall from your testimony here today, is that the errors that were occurring, the fundamental errors and basic errors related to the FISA process, you didn't find any evidence that there was political bias there, no documentary evidence. The errors occurred, and those are troublesome, but you didn't necessarily link those to any political bias. Is that accurate?
So I want to draw a distinction there. What we didn't find was, as they were considering in August and September whether to seek a FISA, we didn't see evidence there in those communications. But as to the failures that occurred, we didn't find any of the explanations particularly satisfactory, in fact, unsatisfactory across the board. In the absence of satisfactory answers, I can't tell you as I sit here whether it was gross incompetence, and I think with the volume of errors, you could make an argument that that would be a hard sell, that it was just gross incompetence, to intentional, or somewhere in between. and what the motivations were. I can think of plenty of motivations that could have caused that to occur, but we didn't have any hard evidence that I can sit here and tell you, why did these occur? I can tell you they occurred. I can tell you we didn't get good explanations, but I can't tell you why.
But as he's only giving two options. It's either gross incompetence on things that they should be able to do in their sleep, some of them, or something else, which might be intentionality. Yeah, so now he tries to say, well, it's conceivable they were really all just incompetent. But what's that? Aren't these the people who are saying the FBI are saying? Let me take a little break here. I just want to check something real quick. Okay, this is all working down here. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying, if your point is that the FBI is this incompetent, maybe we should scrap the whole FISA plan or FISA warrant program. If is that what you're trying to say? Here it is again.
Well, those bad explanations are a result of a systemic problem with the FISA process.
Maybe it's just
It
problems
would
with the
be
FISA
extremely
problem.
difficult to answer that question until you complete your further audit to see whether or not this is a systemic problem within the FBI that has to be corrected. It wasn't
Because the Democrats need it to be a system-wide problem. If it is just strictly in this case, then the DNC and the Hillary Clinton campaign paid for this bullshit dossier. And it wasn't just gross incompetence. It's intentional. And it becomes a plan to fuck with the candidate and then President Trump. Okay? And remember, Donald Trump wasn't in the best graces of the intelligence agencies. He was saying some things during his campaign, maintaining that they were part of the swamp and how they handled the Hillary Clinton investigation.
something just with this particular case. Is that accurate? How would you look at that?
We certainly wouldn't make any conclusion about systemic or not. As to the failures here, in the absence of the satisfactory answers, given how basic some of these were, how fundamental, this was not an error because this was too complex. You didn't understand that the fact you gathered here was inconsistent with the fact you were relying on there in the FISA. These should have been told, and I think you see this in the FISA court opinion yesterday.
Right.
These should have been told. These were basic fundamental errors. It's hard to figure out what the rationale is, which is why we're not sure what the motivation was.
Well, but I just want to clarify that the way you'll know that is if you, as you're looking at other cases through your audit, and you find that these are occurring on a pretty regular basis.
If these errors are occurring on a regular basis, isn't the Democrat insinuating that the FBI is incompetent across the board? What a weird thing to say. When you also were relying on the FBI and to investigate the Trump campaign. Are you fucking kidding me? Good morning, Green Badger Outdoors. Hi, Necrosol, too. I know you were late and I didn't say hello, but hello. Okay. And good morning, Cynical Lindsay. So Tracy says, this is something we've seen over and over from the left. Some almost desperate attempts to claim that the FBI was just so incompetent they must have done this all the time because they just don't know any better. As though anyone buys that, and B, it makes it okay. She says, I've consistently said if that were true, that the FBI were this incompetent, we have much bigger problems than a political spying operation against a candidate and then sitting president. These people are responsible for protecting our company, a fact that the Democrats are trying to make this the theme and make the people shrug and exclaim, well, they just didn't know what they were doing. They couldn't have done this on purpose. It absolutely abhorrent. I think it's that even these folks know they look moronic. You can hear the desperation in their voices as they go down this road. Okay, Rand Paul goes back to bias because the fact pattern is so important. He explains that just because the IG didn't see physical proof of bias doesn't mean it didn't exist. It is a nuanced topic here, but very important one. He goes into Klein Smith, asks about Viva la Resistance. The IG says these did contain bias. Horowitz makes the argument that he is not in a position to say he is not a criminal investigator. The IG must remain neutral, and they're going to let the DOJ investigate and come to conclusions. So here's Rand Paul's questioning.
But I do appreciate that you and your team try to avoid having bias in your reporting and try to be as objective as possible. I appreciate that. And I think you and other inspectors general do a great service to our country trying to figure out and make things better and root out where there are problems. I would say that when we look at bias, I guess the first question would be a short question, just to reiterate and make sure it's very clear. You did find evidence of biased individuals who were involved with the investigation.
That's correct.
Okay. And I think that's very clear. And is it difficult to determine what people's motives are or whether they're biased or not biased?
It's very difficult.
Right. And so just by saying you didn't find it doesn't mean it didn't exist. It doesn't mean you couldn't have had 15 people very biased who influenced every one of their decisions. You just can't prove it.
We could not prove it. We lay out here what we can prove.
Okay. One specific instance I'd like to ask you about, though. The OGC attorney is the one I think you've referred for criminal evaluation. Correct?
I'll just say we've referred to the Attorney General and the FBI
Right.
Director.
For possible, and that's the possible criminal evaluation. He also had text messages that said...
the OCG attorney is the one that changed the status that... they got information from the CIA that Carter Page was, in fact, one of their... they had a relationship with him. He was an asset, and that attorney is the one who altered the email to say that Carter Page was not an asset, which would have been... him being an asset would immediately change the focus of this particular part of the investigation. They would have probably just dumped him right away. But he changed the document, and that helped him get the FISA warrant.
Resistance. Did you interpret those to be, or what would your opinion, does that show that he might have had some bias against the Trump administration?
Well, he was one of the individuals in last year's report precisely for those text messages that we referred to the FBI precisely for that concern.
So you interpreted that as an evidence of bias. But I guess my question would be, if you saw that he was biased, he's obviously made errors that you think actually may have been intentional. Why in that instance would you not be free to say that there's documentary evidence of not only bias but then malfeasance?
That's precisely why we don't say that as to the errors, the failures in the FISA process.
Right, but could you then specifically say the opposite? That actually, in this instance, there actually was evidence of political bias and evidence of record changing that looks like malfeasance.
There is evidence of both. I agree with you, but we will I want to make sure there's a fair process.
That's fine, and I think the chairman's very correct that the media has misinterpreted what you've said and drawn conclusions that I don't think are accurate as to what you're saying, and people should read the report, and the report is very damning.
So the IG, though, they have to remain neutral. That's what she writes here. They remain neutral and let the DOJ investigate to come to conclusions. This is important and should be clear. Should clear up for people who are angry or don't understand why the IG doesn't come out to more solid conclusions. That's not their role. That's for the Justice Department. And no, the rest of the thread. Okay, she's writing. Let's see. I think there was one more clip that I wanted to show. Was this the one? Let's see. In this clip, Horowitz talks about why this investigation took so long and some of the obstacles the IG have when doing investigations. Oh, he's telling why he wants subpoena power, because the other part of this is they can't. Some people can volunteer to testify to the IG or be interviewed by the IG, but they have no subpoena power, and they cannot talk to anybody who no longer is an employee of the FBI. He strictly has to talk to current employees. So, for example, now Andrew McCabe volunteered and came in and interviewed with the IG, but Peter Strzok didn't have to because he no longer works there. James Comey didn't have to. He no longer works there. And then also other agencies that they wanted to go talk to, but they can't because they have to stay within their own agency. So here's him talking about wanting subpoena power.
What's really important work. One of these additional tools is the ability of the IG to subpoena witnesses who operate outside of the agency or its programs, including former federal employees. How would the ability to compel testimony from these witnesses enhance the investigative capabilities of the IG community?
So it's a critical tool that we've advocated for many years. This committee has been very supportive of us getting it. So, as an example, in this review, we had two witnesses who would not speak with us, Mr. Simpson, Mr. Weiner, and we had no ability to get their testimony. Most importantly also, though, partly the reason this took 18, 19 months is because many witnesses initially declined to speak to us and only towards the end of the investigation re-engaged and said now they were interested in speaking with us. We weren't going to turn down their testimony. That required us to extend our timing. So having subpoenas not only would have allowed us to get evidence we didn't get, but it would have allowed us to move this more rapidly to a conclusion. Very importantly, on programs that cost the taxpayers money, grant recipients, contractors of the federal government, those are people who are not federal employees, who don't have an obligation to cooperate.
Okay, so then let's see. There's a couple more here. Adding this here because Twitter broke my heart. This is a good one for anyone who's paying close attention. One of the major complaints is the supposed lack of referrals to the Department of Justice. Here IG talks about how many people were involved, 6 or 7, and mentions that he made referrals from up the chain.
That's correct.
So the FBI absolutely knew where this was coming from. What about the number of people involved? How many people at the FBI were involved in misleading the FISA court by your count, your estimation?
We don't have a precise number of exactly who knew what when, but there were 4 different FISAs. There's a case agent, there's a supervisory agent who are reviewing each. There was some overlap, so it's not 8. I think it's either 6 or 7 who had both of those responsibilities.
6 or 7?
Some of which, to be fair, were more egregious than others in terms of the mistakes and the failures that occurred. And then, of course, as we note here, the reason we refer people up the chain is there is information flow up the chain. And even though those individuals didn't have direct responsibility under the Woods procedures, as managers and supervisors, we believe they had a responsibility to ask the probing questions they should have been asking and followed up on information they were getting to make sure they were in a position to effectively supervise.
I want to come back to the information flow up the chain in just a second.
Okay, so, and again here, the bias angle is being hammered home. And Horace really has the patience of a saint. He's answering again that they couldn't conclude the FISA issues happened without political bias. And the media is probably not listening to this. She says, I hope the left and the media are listening, but they're not. Again, Comey's already taken his victory lap. And I think it was quite premature. You ever watch those videos where someone thinks they won a race, they slow down, they raise their hand, and then someone just zooms by them and hits the finish line first? Comey's the guy running up with his hands raised, thinking he's won the race. I'm not feeling it. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do on that because it's time. Plus, there's only a couple more, and I'm going to skip them. So, let's get into Twitter trends. Although today it's as annoying as it is every day, but it's good to check out Twitter trends just to see what's happening in the world, to find out what people are talking about now, people are going to be talking about later today, and what you're going to see people make videos about tomorrow. Speaking of which, yesterday when we were doing Twitter trends, there was a huge blow up of J.K. Rowling, and it ended up knocking impeachment off the top of Twitter topics because J.K. Rowling had the nerve to talk about that woman who got fired for saying that there is such a thing as a biological woman or a I like to say physiological female. And that there's gotta be a sliver of space left for just physiological females. Well, she got fired for that, and J.K. Rowling took up her cause on Twitter. And now J.K. Rowling, who once was one of the great allies of the LGBTQ plus QIA elemental P community, just got hammered yesterday all day on Twitter. She literally was trending the entire day. That was just crazy. But anyway, when I open my Explore tab on Twitter, and I always try to see what's the thing trending. There's a number one trend, but they always have a kind of a headline article or a headline thing that they put on top with some video. And today, it's The Rise of Skywalker, because that movie is coming out today, and I'm watching. Now watch along with me here, because it's just really strange as I'm watching this. And it says nothing can prepare you for the end. I'm not going to click it because I look at this, and so both of these people are Jedis. They have the whole problem with this, I can't even talk about it. Should we feel bad for JK? That's a good question, Straight Sith Mel. By the way, good morning. I have a hard time feeling bad for J.K. Rowling, although I kind of do, because now she's getting a taste of what it's like. Now, look, J.K. Rowling will be just fine. She is a multi-billionaire. She's a billionaire just from her Harry Potter books. Great, one of the most popular book series ever written in at least modern times, I should say. So she can slink off in the sunset, stay away for a while. She can apologize. She doesn't matter. She can live her life the way she wants. But the poor woman who got fired from her job for daring to even consider physiological sex and not the old, not the social construct gender issue. I sometimes I think about, okay, could I get fired from my job for that? Maybe not. I don't think I would, but I'm just, but because you have freedom of speech here. This happened in Great Britain. And so standing up for that woman who had wrongthink, but I'll tell you, Twitter was savaging her yesterday. I feel a little bit bad. I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen. How is she going to publicly reconcile this? Is she going to just stay with what she's saying? Or is she going to apologize? And I don't think she should apologize. But whatever. Anyway, this Rise of Skywalker thing, I just have no issue. It's the Mary Sue complex, the Mary Sue idea. Like this scene right here. One, she's so powerful, she's just jumping over a flying ship, and then she can stop the guy's lightsaber just with the Force. Now, I've never seen that. And so I don't know. I'm not interested. Anyway, trending number one on Twitter today is impotus. Aren't they clever? Impotus, as in impeached POTUS. They're so happy. These people are so happy that Donald Trump has been impeached because they wanted to impeach him the day he was elected. They hate him so much. And it's just everyone's so excited that he's impeached, even though he's not, because Nancy Pelosi hasn't delivered the impeachment, whatever things. I got to turn the music back on. Hang on. All right. There we go. I can't hear it. All right, little Christmas music back on in the background. They're so excited that he's been impeached. So now impotus is trending on Twitter, which stands for impeached President of the United States. Update on impotus, impeach President of the United States. Let's see, who came up with this crap? This may be the best example of finding the local angle I've ever seen. What is this? Queens man impeached. Queens Daily Eagle, because he's from Queens. Donald Trump is the third president to be impeached in the United States history and the first from Queens. Oh, isn't that cute? They got a little local angle. They're so excited. Don't you love it when local news always finds a local angle for things? I do find that a bit humorous. Oh my God, okay, now this is really stupid. Great tidbit at the end of this article. Trump's parents' graves are located at All Faiths Cemetery in Middle Village. The cemetery was slapped with a lawsuit by New York Attorney General Letitia James earlier this year for allegedly misappropriating funds. Also, the Queen's House delegation voted in favor of impeachment. Yay! Now probably someone's going to go desecrate his parents' graves now that they told people where his parents are buried. Good job. So anyway, impotus. George Conway is so excited for the impotus hashtag, and you wanted a hashtag here. The biggest problem is not your critics. It's you. You have no remorse, which is common only to sociopaths and hardened criminals. The fact that you won't admit your wrongdoing shows how richly you deserved impeachment. Well, first of all, you haven't proved any wrongdoing. All you've done is run your freaking mouths. You haven't. Please. Innocent until proven guilty? From now on, I'm going to refer to real Donald Trump using the title Impeached President Trump. It has much more of a ring to it. Well, can we do that with everyone now? Can we say Impeached President Bill Clinton? Well, that's the only other one. Andrew Johnson. Impeached President Andrew Johnson. They're so fucking petty. It's amazing. But you know what? It's cute. It's cute that they are so happy now. But it's funny. He'll soon be acquitted. Okay, number 2, Christianity Today. They have it's an evangelical magazine, and they called for Donald Trump's removal from office. Okay, so they're trending number 2 because everything's going to be Eric Galley of Christianity Today. The question is, when does his behavior, which is described as immoral, accurately rise to the level where he is no longer fit to serve office? And to me, we crossed that line with the impeachment hearings. Really? How? How did we cross that line with the impeachment hearings? Him not participating? Him going to the courts to determine whether or not he had to have people go testify? Tell me what about the impeachment hearings made you change your mind, okay? So anyway, Christianity Today is going to be trending. Moving on, Friday Motivation. Hey, Friday Motivation, Friday Thoughts are 4 and 5. Let's do Friday. Oh, they're right in a row. Friday Motivation, Friday Feeling, Friday Thoughts. Let's do Friday Motivation. Let's get a motivation out there. Something that has nothing to do with impeachment. Oh, here we go. Good morning. Oh, we'll turn the sound up here. Apparently there's, let's see here. All right, that was cute, but don't really know why that's motivating, but it is part of Friday Motivation. Oh, God, this pig has the cutest smile. I'm not agreeing with you there. Okay, we're moving on. Is there one good motivation here? Instead of watching, start reading. Instead of sitting, get active. Instead of eating junk, eat better. Instead of consuming create. Start preparing yourself for 2020 with simple behavior changes. Okay, that's a good motivational one. I'm going to actually, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take that one and we're going to put that one in the chat so you can right click and open a tab and have that as your Monday motivation. As soon as my mouse starts working here. There we go. That was in the chat now. That's our Monday motivation for today. Moving on to, let's see, we're going to skip to, entertainment tonight is trending, but it's trending under politics. Gee, I wonder what entertainment tonight's talking about. Let's click it and find out. Checks to see why the F entertainment tonight is trending. Okay. Oh my God. You know why? Because Trump tweeted it and it will come. So the far left magazine, or very progressive as some would call it, which have been doing poorly and hasn't been involved with the Billy Graham family for many years, Christianity Today knows nothing about reading a perfect transcript of a routine phone call and would rather have a radical left non-believer who wants to take your religion and your guns than Donald Trump as your president. No president has done more for the evangelical community, and it's not even close. You'll not get anything from those Dems on stage. I won't be reading E.T. again. Okay, I think he had a typo today. And that's because Christianity Today says we believe the impeachment hearings have made it absolutely clear in a way the Mueller investigation did not, that the President Trump has abused his authority for personal gain and betrayed his constitutional oath. Well, they certainly gave you that narrative in the Democratic side of the aisle. And so Christianity Today has gone with the narrative. And so that's why entertainment tonight is that is why entertainment tonight is trending. Oh, because of a typo or whatever he does. How does he get C from E? Let's see. C's right here, E's right there. I don't know. So that's why entertainment tonight is trending. You know, sometimes he is quite entertaining. Steph Curry's trending. Why is Steph Curry? Is he back? You'll see tweets, people, events, and ads about this. And just like the accounts, the ones you follow appear in your profile. What? Anyway, Steph Curry's trending because he's finally back from his hear me thinking Steph Curry is trending because he's finally back from his injury. But when I clicked on his name, ASAP Rocky leaking Steph Curry's peen pics so everyone stops talking about his Steph Curry nudes got leaked. Oh my God. Trump got impeached. ASAP sex tape got leaked. Steph Curry nudes got leaked. It's been a wild 48 hours. Okay, don't want to see Steph Curry's nude pics. Next, The Witcher on Netflix. It's arrived if you're into The Witcher series. SNKRS app. It's trending because someone said to do that. This was SNKRS app with my 3 notifications for Off-White. Every time I take an L on SR, I don't know what that is. I'm just gonna move on because this is Boomer Night signing off. Smocking is all right. I'm not even gonna click smocking. Smocking is trending because Trump had another typo where he enters. Okay, this is twice where he's taken 2 letters, C and E. I don't know. It's trending because something about... Well, here, let's click it. What the fuck? Here we go. Donald Trump, yeah, smock. Democrats can't find a smocking gun. Oh, this is from December 2018. And now it's trending. Democrats can't find a smoking gun tying the Trump campaign to Russia after James Comey testimony. No smocking gun. No collusion. That's because there was no collusion. Okay, so that's that. And he did it again. Smocking. raising the smoking age to 21. Okay, so apparently... Oh my God. Can please somebody take his iPhone away? Oh my God. That's why smocking is trending, because he keeps spelling smoking, smocking, because I don't know. We've established my opinion on the jackassery, but my God. And E.T.'s trending because of E.T. Franklin Graham's trending because Trump said it. Let's go Purple Haze 2. Why is Purple Haze 2 trending? Someone named Cameron has put out some new music that's Purple Haze 2. You know what? I'm sorry. Don't even try that, Cameron. Good God. Anyway, you're desecrating the grave of Jimi Hendrix. Christmas is in 5 days, people. Oh, I was singing the Grinch song when we started. Were y'all here when I was singing the Grinch song? Here, let me, should I finish with the Grinch song today? Let's pause this. Oh, what did I do there? Here. Let me sing the second verse of the Grinch song. You're a monster, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 39.5-foot pole. Okay, that's the second verse of the Grinch song. Moving on back to Twitter trends. Christmas is in 5 days, people. Santa! 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 I know him. Elf. Christmas in 5 days, and I never felt this unexcited about it. Well, you are just a downer. I don't feel the spirit the slightest bit. It doesn't even feel like I have something to celebrate. Like I feel like I'm simply going through a long-ass weekend. That's sad. Christmas is in 5 days, so don't get a puppy unless you're prepared. Don't get a puppy unless you're prepared. They shit on your carpet and bite your whole ass body, and if you're not ready for that, then don't get a fucking puppy. Wow, these people are just downers. Holy Christ. Christmas is in 5 days, but the 4th of July was last week, so I'm confused. Okay. Christmas in 5 days? What the fuck? This shit came fast and fuck this year, and Lord Jesus, I haven't done no Christmas shit. Well, our house is finally decorated for Christmas. Thank you. Anyway, so if you better get that shit going. If you haven't done anything for Christmas, Prince Philip is trending. Now, Prince Philip is the husband of the Queen. Buckingham Palace is Prince Philip was admitted to a London hospital as a precautionary measure. The palace said the 98-year-old husband of Queen Elizabeth is in the hospital for observation and treatment of a pre-existing condition. So, he's an old man. As we are well aware, Prince Philip is renowned for his patience and quiet dignity. Our thoughts are with those next to him waiting to be seen. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm sure that he's waiting in line with everybody else. So anyway, that's breaking news. Prince Philip is admitted to a London hospital. We just, you hope for the best for him, or, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't. Anyway. Evangelicals trending because Christianity Today said Trump must go. Aretha is trending, and there's only one Aretha. Oh, they have an Aretha Franklin movie? An Aretha Franklin biopic starring Jennifer Hudson. See and hear the Jennifer Hudson as Aretha Franklin Respect movie in theaters in 2020. That should be interesting. If you don't know a whole lot about Aretha's younger days, you'll get to hear about that. She has an interesting story, actually. Just a singer in church, and someone found her. Okay. And then finally, Good Friday is trending, and Heidi Brousseau. Oh, body found in Houston area, believed to be that of a missing Austin mother. Okay. I'm not even gonna click it. That's just sad. Anyway, so that's it for the Morning Night Live today. I hope you're all excited for the holiday coming up, and if you're not, well, be excited for the fact that I'm going to be still doing shows during the holiday. I hope that's some motivation for you. Oh, what happened to my feed here? That's weird. There we go. Now I can see that. Hey, another should we do another verse? You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have termites in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a seasick crocodile, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I'd take the seasick crocodile. Oh, yeah, watch Blind Press. Hey, it's Grill and Pirate Pete. Find the link and put it in the chat for me, please, for Blind Press, and make that announcement again, please. You're a foul one, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, nasty skunk. Your heart is full of unwashed socks. Your soul is full of gunk, Mr. Grinch. The 3 best words that best describe you are as follows, and I quote, stink, stank, stunk. There's more verses, but I'm not going to do them because I got to go. Thank you for being here at the Morning Night Live today. We appreciate everything that you do for us, including sharing, including liking, including super chats and donations, and just general happiness from all of you to us and to everything. We'll be back on Monday, just as usual. Again, the schedule is just as normal. And I might do a surprise stream tomorrow. So if you're not following me on Twitter, right down there, the Twitter thing is at PDogNight. Also, that's where my Streamlabs and my Venmo are at PDogNight. Or if you want to send me articles, you can DM me on Twitter, or you can send them to me, pdognight@gmail.com. Any of these traveling for the Christmas holidays that aren't around, let me just wish you a Merry Christmas early. Get your Christmas shopping done. I hope you've done that kind of stuff. I just want to thank you one more time for being here. My name is PDogNight, and I'm out of here. Merry Christmas. Hey, this is PDogNight, and thank you for watching today on the PDogNight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDogNight, and I'm out of here.
Like on the road, you have it, so you could just go out and drive you do your car.